Whoa. Thank you, thank you. Welcome, everybody, as you join us live on ABC7.com and our ABC7 streaming apps. Chris Christie up in Air 7 HD with a police pursuit in the LA County jurisdiction. LAPD is in pursuit of that white Toyota RAV4 with a thief behind the wheel. This was a grand theft auto involving a carjacking, and apparently there was a shooting at the time of that carjacking, and we are efforting more details around the origination of this crime. But as you can see, LAPD has caught up with their man. This all started in the downtown area in the Hollenbeck division, made its way through City Terrace, and now we are down in the Bandini area, paralleling the 5 freeway. He's now on Olympic Boulevard. Some wild driving that we've seen just in the last couple of minutes. LAPD down there and waiting for some assistance from LA County Sheriff. LAPD also has an airship overhead. You can see that Night Sun now assisting those officers on the ground as this driver weaves around anybody in his way, doing extreme speeds on surface streets underneath the 710 freeway. He's bypassed several freeways, instead sticking with some of these surface streets. And just a minute ago, he was in a much more residential neighborhood, again, right around the 5 and the 710 freeway. Now he seems to be making his way back through East LA, heading westbound on Olympic Boulevard, just passing Downey Road rather, check that. And fortunately, we're not seeing too much traffic, but the little bit of maneuvering that we've seen here in the last few minutes is definitely worrisome, as this driver is really speeding and even making some of those turns at a high rate of speed as well. You saw just a moment ago, if you happen to catch that circle he went around after a wild move through a red light. So some dangerous driving. The primary unit doing a great job staying on his tail. He's got 3 more units behind him here. And we're going to continue, obviously, to follow him up Olympic Boulevard as far as we can into the downtown LA area off the nose. However, there is a Dodger flight restriction that we're going to be encountering here in the next couple of minutes. If he continues in this direction, that Dodger game's still going on, and obviously that could impact our flight trajectory here. In the meantime, though, we will continue to follow him back up. This is basically where he came from, sort of. He's making his way back in the westbound direction towards downtown LA. Doing about 67 miles per hour on Olympic Boulevard.
Yeah, we're down on Lorena Street, it looks like, but you can see he's got his lights out. He was, on some of those little tiny surface streets, residential streets, going about 40, 50 miles an hour on those streets. So you see, it looks like he turned, I thought maybe that he had turned his lights off, but I can see his headlights on now. And I am hearing LAPD talking. They are in tracking mode at the moment after that crash. It's not too much of a surprise that they're going to want to back off, and it's probably going to be safer for everyone at this point to just see what the suspect decides to do. They've got good eyes on him from the air, and we're up here as well. So it's going to be difficult for this suspect to ditch any of us up here when you have several helicopters watching it. But the ground units have backed off for now, so they're going to see where this person goes. They're going to have all units standing by in various locations and ready to move in maybe when they have a better opportunity.
That's right. So for people that are watching, that yes, they may have backed off on the ground, but as you said, Des, you're watching, they're watching from the air, and they can certainly radio any help that they need to any of the units in neighborhoods where this person might be going. Do you see, well, they're in Vernon now. Has this been a relatively, affluent what he's traversed or the roads that he's traversed so far, still like East Los Angeles area somewhat?
Yeah, he's kind of looped around. Again, it was LAPD's Hollenbeck area, so kind of just east of the 5, Boyle Heights, just west of East Los Angeles. That was where we first heard streets being called out when LAPD got into pursuit. Then he headed east into East LA and then south into Montebello, then just kind of doubled back into Boyle Heights. And now we're getting through the city of Vernon, which isn't really going to have hardly any street traffic out. There's actually, believe it or not, only about 100 or so people that live in Vernon. It's almost all industrial space. So, after business hours, this is a very quiet city. And you can see here as I widen out as you go down Downey Road, not seeing really any street traffic at all. But, what LAPD is going to do about this, this is definitely not one of those ones that they're going to let get away. This isn't just a traffic infraction. You're talking about, 2 possible felonies that this suspect is wanted for. So they may have to re-engage at some point, or you did see a unit who was kind of sitting on the other side of the roadway, and they're just going to try to keep eyes maybe stationary from the ground and then keep tabs from the air, and then look for a better opportunity to move in. There's always going to be officers nearby, ready to pounce when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, and Desmond, do you know if there was anyone else inside that vehicle, or was it just that one person when that person was carjacked?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chris. We haven't heard any confirmation of any other people in the vehicle. I think it's believed to just be the one suspect. We'd like to maybe try to get in front and look through the windshield if we can. Going to be kind of difficult right now, especially with the speed that this guy's going. And then we're going to have some more airspace issues here as we head westbound on Slauson Avenue, and that will be headed into the LAX area. So we'll see. Just kind of have to keep tabs on how far west this suspect goes, and
well, you know what,
it's going to end up.
Desmond, we're going to show our viewers. I'm going to replay that side swipe. If you could tell us, remind us what street that happened. Oh, there it is, right there. He just Olympic Boulevard, maybe.
East Olympic Boulevard, yeah.
Side swipe. I don't know. We don't know exactly how many people were in that vehicle, but thank goodness it wasn't. Didn't look that violent. And they're probably maybe a little sore, but just to reiterate here, this person is wanted for actually carjacking probably that vehicle he's driving there, that white RAV4, shooting someone yesterday.
I mean, that's 2.
Taking the car and then pointing his gun at someone else. So, as Desmond was saying, they certainly don't want this driver to get away because he's already committed a number of felonies, and the way he's driving right now, he's I guess with the speed limit, because we're into some traffic in Huntington Park now, Des.
Yeah, as bad as that crash was, and you feel for those folks that are going to have to deal with their insurance companies now. If this driver would have turned his wheel just a few more degrees to the left, he could have pushed those innocent people into opposing traffic. So even though it's pretty awful for those folks, at least it looked like they're going to be okay. And whatever damage was done to their vehicle, they'll be able to get that repaired. But we are on Slauson Avenue as we head westbound. So through Huntington Park, we'll be in South LA shortly, and unfortunately it's going to be really difficult for us to keep up with this person because of the airspace restrictions that we have. So but we're going to keep the shot as well as we can. As I wanted to say that the driving was calming down a little bit, but you see he just blasted through another red light there and has been getting awfully close to other innocent people out there. But it seems like he has
he's
got the headlights on. He's got his headlights on, but not his rear lights. I mean, obviously the brake lights go off when he taps on the brakes, but other than that, he just has the headlights on, but not the rear lights. I don't know if that's a strategy to try to evade LAPD or what, but we're going to have to cede the airspace to the LAPD helicopter overhead when we get into the airspace for LAX. I mean, obviously they have priority over us, and so for safety purposes during pursuits, kind of have an agreement with LAPD that when we're in Los Angeles airspace, we're really restricted with how we can move when there's an LAPD helicopter overhead, which there is in this instance.
Yeah, for sure. Watching this, just seeing this driver drive so fast, and this is the issue we had last night. We had a pursuit around 11 o'clock, and they were in the airspace of LAX, and I couldn't see it.
Just went through a red light there. He almost looks by himself on in his particular the direction that he's driving right now. And again, trying to be, elusive,
Ooh.
maybe, with the lights out, but still, as Desmond said, they're still keeping a handle on where this person is. Okay. And
Well,
we're not
going
going
to see if
we're not
we
going to be
can
able to
go
give you.
around the
Oh, go ahead,
airspace.
Desmond.
Sorry, we're going to see if we can maybe go around the airspace, and perhaps see where this ends up. We'll be able to hang out around the perimeters. Basically, for us, we have to kind of stay out of the area. If you can visualize between the 10 to the north, the 105 to the south, basically western or on the
just
west
turned.
end
Oh.
as we head southbound now, and Alameda on the east end. So he's kind of right in the middle of that, but he did turn south.
Yes.
So
We're looking at him.
kind of track southbound with him.
Avalon
Yeah.
Boulevard.
Yeah, he's on Avalon. We're over Alameda. That's as far west as we can get. So
Okay.
we're definitely looking from a distance, maybe a mile away or so.
It looks like there's
And
homes in that area as
we-
well,
but
too,
we-
Pat.
Yeah, who knows, Desmond?
Yeah,
we've seen sometimes how these things turn out. This person could be trying to drive somewhere, ditch a car, do a foot bail, or try to
Oh,
run somewhere.
That was a busy intersection.
Yeah, it's a very busy intersection, and is that the white car? Yes, it is. Right in the middle of your screen there, folks, right behind those buildings. Maybe he'll pop out. It's really dark out there, Desmond, kind of difficult to see.
Yeah, it is dark out here,
There he
and,
is.
and he again doesn't have his rear lights on either, so definitely difficult. You can see just how few street lights there are on Avalon. We're trying our best to track with him, and you can see
Oh, there's
LAPD.
the
They're right
police.
behind
They
him.
must be tracking him again or
Yeah, they are.
pursuing him.
They
You
are
see?
back.
Yeah.
in
There
pursuit.
we go. Okay.
Yeah, southbound on Avalon, and okay, well, that's bad news for us. He just made a westbound turn onto Florence, so he's right in what they call the Bravo airspace of LAX, and so. But you can see LAPD. They are now, back with us. So I believe they are officially back in pursuit and not just in tracking mode.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't look
LAPD's
like it.
helicopter, they're still overhead as well.
Yeah, we
and
have at
they
least
basically got
1,
the
2, 3, 4.
airspace all to
I'm looking
themselves.
at maybe at least 5 units that are behind this guy. So, Desmond, what we're going to do, since it's difficult actually to see that white RAV4 that just kind of crossed that intersection there, and LAPD is still behind, but a little ways behind, we're going to take a quick break and come back, and hopefully we can pick this up on the other side where we have better. I could still see that car
Yeah.
with its lights
Far
off.
distance, yeah.
All right, Des, we'll get back to you. We're going to take a quick break.
Tired of your rates getting raised and not receiving any additional service? Tired of old equipment not working the way it should?
The card. Do it with Cash App and do more with your money.
She lived with R. Kelly.
He would tell us exactly what
Okay, well, we could barely see behind you,
Yeah,
Ev.
that's
That
for
just-
sure.
Is that like dirt and dust that's been blowing
It's
up?
all,
Right there, Exposition, northbound 110 at Expo. All right, we're getting another vantage point here as we come around LAX's Bravo airspace as LAPDs continue the pursuit northbound on the 110 freeway, approaching the heart of downtown LA. The 10 freeway basically going to be his next major interchange here as he continues northbound. Again, there are several LAPD units from LAPD's Hollenbeck division. They initiated this pursuit earlier this evening. This is going on about a half hour now. Ten freeway, he got onto the 10? Okay, stay on the 110. He went north, continuing northbound past the 10. Past the 10 on the 110. There he goes. There he goes. Under the 10 freeway. Definitely picking up steam here. As you can see, he's speeding right up through what they call the slot here in downtown, up the 110 freeway towards the 101 freeway, heading towards the 4 level. There is that primary unit once again. What we know for sure is that there is an armed and dangerous suspect in the driver's seat of that Toyota RAV4, apparently stolen last night during a carjacking in City Terrace where the victim was actually shot. West.
Go 110 north, going under the 101.
Yep.
So committed 110 north, gonna pass right by the Dodgers game.
Best we can, yeah.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you to everyone who is joining us online. I'm Eliana Marino, News Chopper 4 Alpha, along with my pilot, James Pollard. And we are tracking a police pursuit. I know you can't tell by the images here, but what's happening here is that we have the Dodgers TFR because there is a Dodgers game going on. They're taking on the San Francisco Giants. And when we have a Dodgers game. We have to stay about 3 miles away from Dodger Stadium, and the driver of this pursuit vehicle is on the northbound 110, which runs right next to Dodger Stadium. In fact, as I widen out the shot, there's the Dodgers Stadium right there. Dodger game still going on, and so that TFR, that temporary flight restriction, lasts for an hour after the game is over. So because the game is still going on, we still have that restriction. But to the driver of this vehicle, northbound 110, and so this will take him into the Highland Park area if he continues northbound on the 110, but he's also going to have the option of getting on the 5 freeway, either north or south, when he exits the 3 tunnels there next to Dodgers. So I'm going to continue to monitor the scanner here and listen to the airship overhead and hear his directions as to where this vehicle is continuing. And we will catch it, of course, on the other side and be able to bring you these images. I think I actually see it now. There we go, 110 freeway, passing the LA River. So he's near the 110 and the 5. Now, let me talk to you about what this person is wanted for. So at this point, we know that at least one of the people in the car, and we don't know how many people may be in the car, but we know that at least one of them is wanted in connection with a carjacking and shooting that took place yesterday in East Los Angeles. That was a story that I actually covered yesterday as well. So I'm pretty familiar with what the scene looked like, but it was LA County Sheriff's deputies on scene from the East LA station, and that was at the 1300 block of Miller Avenue. Again, in East LA, actually not far from the sheriff's headquarters in Monterey Park. But this was an attempted carjacking and shooting. There was a large crime scene there outside of an apartment complex. Now, I'm not sure exactly how many people may have been injured as a result of that shooting, if any, but officers as well as deputies apparently have been tracking this guy and located him today. They tried to pull the vehicle over in the Highland Park area. I heard it on the LAPD's Hollenbeck division frequency when it started as a following. So they actually, because this is a person who is considered armed and dangerous because of the shooting aspect of it all, they had 10 units of the LAPD behind the vehicle when they attempted to pull him over, but he failed to yield and the pursuit was on. Now, the vehicle in question is this white car that you see here. I have not gotten a make and model on it yet. It kind of looks like I want to say it's possibly a Toyota, possibly a Toyota RAV4. But I will try to get you a better description once we get a little bit closer. But continuing here northbound on the 110. The 110 is going to come to an end, though. It's going to come to an end in South Pasadena, and then he's going to have to make some decisions. We believe that this is a person that is more familiar with the East Los Angeles area, so I wouldn't be surprised if he makes that turn towards the south and heads towards East Los Angeles. But for now, continuing here northbound on the 110 freeway in Highland Park with the LAPD still in pursuit. It's behind us now, Jim, but it'll come out your side. Okay, perfect. No worries. Okay, so here we go, 110 freeway at Via Marisol. Again, freeway going to come to an end here very soon. And the light that you're seeing is actually from our helicopter because I'm actually shooting backwards. We're actually dealing with some winds up here in News Chopper 4 Alpha this evening. The winds here in our area have been pretty strong for most of the day. And so that is another element that we are adding to this pursuit here. And you'll notice the driver may be exiting here. So maybe exiting at Avenue 60, so Avenue 60 from the 110 freeway. You got the ground units there, the cruisers right behind him. There is a car in front of him that's driving a little bit slower than he probably wants to go, so we'll see what he does here when he comes to the off-ramp here and making that left-hand turn. This is going to put him on Avenue 60 and Monterey Road. Continuing eastbound here on Monterey. He's just behind these apartments, but I'll catch him when he comes out the other side. As long as he doesn't turn, I can pace him just right and catch him on the other end. Okay, and he did turn, so I'm gonna have to follow the cruisers here. Right here, he's in the area of Collis. So Collis and Hill Drive are gonna be the streets here. He's on Collis and Avenue 60. There he is. As you can see, there's a lot of trees in the way, which makes it a little bit more difficult to keep track of this guy. And a lot of the time, he's driving blacked out, so we don't even have the benefit of his headlights. Again, it's unclear how many people may be in the car, but at least one person in there is wanted in connection with a carjacking and shooting that took place yesterday evening in the East LA area on Miller Avenue. Officers from the LAPD's Hollenbeck Division spotted the vehicle in their area today, and they attempted to pull the vehicle over, and at that point the car took off. Pursuit was on. He's been driving at high speeds. He made his way over to East Los Angeles. He was over there on those surface streets for a while, even causing a collision on Olympic in Arizona before heading south into the city of Vernon. So I'm hearing the airship overhead is saying that he's not going to be able to track the car much longer because, again, we're going to be creeping into that Dodgers TFR. Oh, right here. Oh, my gosh, that was so close. He ran the red light there with oncoming traffic and somehow was able to dodge hitting those two vehicles. This guy really has had a lot of close calls. So what I'm hearing is that the airship's gonna pull off. He's actually saying that it's because of the high winds. And now you have the units re-engaging, because prior to this, they had been in tracking mode for a little bit. And tracking mode is where the helicopter follows, but the ground units hang back a little bit so that the person who's in the pursuit will think that they are no longer being pursued, and they'll start to drive more calmly. It seemed to have worked because he did slow down his speed significantly, but as you can see, I'm actually going to throw up the speedometer now. Sorry about that. There we go. Speedometer is now up and running for you guys to follow the speeds along with me. So his speeds are actually a little bit slower now. Perfect time for a pit maneuver, but they know that he's armed. He is considered armed and dangerous. So for that reason, they likely won't try a pit because they wouldn't want to put their officers in a position where they could cause the pursuit vehicle to spin and then possibly be head-on with one of their cruisers. And if this guy is armed, they don't want to put any of their officers in that sort of danger. So for that reason, they likely won't try the pit, but they'll try spike strips. I already heard them talking about them. They're talking about where would be the best place to place those strips. And they're also calling this neighborhood a familiar neighborhood on the scanner, which likely means that this is an area that this person has circled before. We're in the El Sereno area. We first heard this kickoff in the Highland Park area, so we're really not too far from there. And now back out on the major here. This is Huntington Drive with a cross of Poplar Avenue. Huntington Drive at Lowell. Okay. San Marino Police, Arcadia Police, they're being advised of this pursuit that is coming their way, because what can happen is one of those agencies can take it over if they choose to. But in all likelihood, the LAPD will just hang on to it as we make a U-turn here. Back westbound Huntington Drive from Maine. This gives us a chance to count how many cruisers are in the pursuit. I'm counting 5. So we're going back the way we came, Huntington Drive now, headed in a western direction. So if he continues west, this could put us again in that Dodgers TFR that I spoke to you about earlier, which does complicate things for us because we have to stay 3 miles away, but we'll see if he goes either north or south from here or makes yet another U-turn. Again, this is a person wanted in a carjacking in East Los Angeles yesterday. Here's another U-turn. I kind of called for it, and there it is. Headed eastbound now on Huntington Drive from Van Horn Avenue. And switching over to that right lane, perhaps he's going to attempt a southbound turn here. I am hearing a description of a passenger, so that does tell us that there's at least 2 people. There's just on the backside of these trees, and we'll try to bring News Chopper 4 Alpha around so we can show you what is happening here. But the vehicle has come to a stop on Huntington Drive and Leifer Avenue in El Sereno. Officers approaching the vehicle now, and we're coming around to show you what is happening. I'll just relay, though, what I'm hearing on the scanner. There are 2 people in the vehicle. Their hands are out of the windows, so it means that they are complying. Or Huntington Drive, just west of Portola, would be the nearest big street. There are 7 units of the LAPD on scene. What they're going to do is they're going to stop traffic in the area before they pull out these people from the car. Again, at least 2 people in the car because we see 2 set of hands. He may have run out of gas, is what we're hearing, so that could be what brought things to an end. There is the driver putting his hands on his head. That is exactly what the officers want to see. And then they will likely have him sidestep away from the car. That's what we're seeing now. And they will have him lift up his sweatshirt at some point so that they can look at his waistband and make sure that there's nothing on his person that could harm them. But at this point, looks like they're just going to have him lay down there. They may have the passenger get out before they approach the driver, or they may just try to get the driver first and then worry about the passenger. It varies with every pursuit, but in this case, we're seeing the driver there in the middle of the street, down on the pavement, and there goes the passenger, hands up into the air. And he is walking back towards the officers. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, no worries. Okay, sidestepping away. And now he's going to walk in the direction of the officers. They'll take him into custody. And again, the officers will do a quick search of both these individuals, and then they're also going to check the car to make sure nobody else is hiding inside. If you're just joining us, this was an LAPD pursuit of at least 1 person who was wanted in connection with a carjacking that took place yesterday in East Los Angeles. That carjacking also involved a shooting. Officers from the LAPD's Hollenbeck Division spotted this white vehicle. I believe it's a Toyota RAV4, and they tried to pull it over. The driver failed to yield, and the pursuit was on, taking us on surface streets and highways in the LA basin until finally he came to a stop here on Huntington Drive at Leifer Street, which is near Portola. And he may have come to a stop only because he was out of gas, is what we're hearing. So you see the team of officers approaching there. They just have to clear the vehicle, make sure nobody else is inside. I'm seeing them signal a 4 with their hand, which is for code 4, which means nobody else in the car. Situation is clear there. And now we'll have 2 separate teams of officers approach the 2 men who were in the vehicle. They thought that perhaps one of them was armed, so of course they're going to be very careful. And it seems like the one that they're most concerned about is the driver, because that is who they're approaching now, putting his hands behind his back. Everyone appears to be complying, so that's good there. The driver is the person that you see at the top of the frame on the right. I'm sorry, the passenger is the one who is walking away right now. This is the driver here. The officers, as you can see, doing a quick search of his person to make sure that there is nothing on him that could potentially harm them. And we do have a tree here in the way for just a moment, but Jim is going to bring us around so that we can clear it. We're dealing with winds up here tonight, guys, so we're fighting that. And there he is. Okay, so there's the driver. So I'm hearing on the scanner, everyone is accounted for, and they are asking for East LA sheriffs to come to this location because, again, the carjacking that at least one of these individuals was wanted for happened yesterday in the LA County East LA area on a street called Miller Avenue. So again, this is at Huntington Drive, at LeFleur Avenue, but Portola is going to be another big street here through the area. Let me take the map off. So we'll have more on the termination of this pursuit on the NBC4 News at 11 o'clock. But for now, I'll leave you with this long shot here of Dodger Stadium in the distance. From News Chopper 4 Alpha, I'm Liliana Moreno, along with my pilot, James Pollard. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you at 11. Yeah, let me double check. Assignment desk from Alpha. Hey Jamie, pursuit's all wrapped up. I said goodbye to the folks on the web. Would you like us to start heading home? Copy that.